In Boulder, I was shocked to learn, the county coroner's office sent its photographs to a local picture mat for developing. So it wasn't long before the tabloids were buying and publishing pictures of the crime scene and JonBenet's autopsy, with headlines screaming, "The Ramseys did it." That's what prompted another lawman to call me. He was a detective the Boulder DA brought in for a JonBenet task force, a guy who would normally never talk to a reporter.
We can't be putting innocent people in prison now, can we? Things are not supposed to work that way in the United States.
Where are you going with this?
How about destroying innocent lives and reputations? They even accused the little girl's brother.
It's not what I'm about.
I know you've been talking to someone in the Boulder PD. You should know they're on the wrong track. There's folks in that department who want the Ramseys to be guilty. With their money and all that foolishness about beauty pageants, they're easy targets.
Sound like their lawyer.
I'm just an old policeman who believes you work the case, not your prejudices. Look, the Boulder cops are embarrassed. No, humiliated by their mistakes that first day. They messed up big time. Now the whole world's watching. They need damage control.
Are you suggesting they're trying to frame the Ramseys?
It's not something they're doing consciously. Look, they're cops. I'm a cop. Everyone makes mistakes. That poor guy who didn't look behind that door. Can you imagine what he'll think about for the rest of his life? But a child was missing, and there was urgency to his search. The command officers should have been all over that place from the second they got the kidnap report.
So now they're trying to cover their butts?
Time-honored custom? Sure, they've interviewed a lot of people. They've just about ruled out any theory of the crime except the one pointing to the Ramseys. It's the worst sin an investigator can commit, locking himself into one theory of a crime. That way innocent people get convicted, and guilty people are left free to do it again. The Ramseys couldn't have killed JonBenet. Their behavior doesn't fit the profile of people who kill their children. No abuse, no drinking, none of the things you find associated with parents who murdered their children.
None of this is evidence.
What if I told you about a palm print on that wine cellar door, with no match to anyone?
I'm listening.
What if I told you about a shoe print near the body, a high-tech brand, no match to anyone? A pubic hair on her blanket, no match to anyone. Some DNA material under her fingernails, which didn't match up to anyone. Unexplained pry marks on not one, but two doors. And you do remember that broken window, don't you?
The window was too small for anyone to get in.
Did you go and look at it yourself? That's what I thought. Someone told you wrong. I'm telling you, someone else was in that basement. The Ramseys told police JonBenet claimed Santa had promised to pay her a special visit after Christmas.
What are these, Santa?
Well, sometimes when I ride across the sky, my reindeer bump into stars. These sparkles fall off and land in my whiskers.
Isn't he wonderful? He always plays Santa at my Christmas parties.
Tell me, what do you really, very...
The police looked into his background. 22 years before JonBenet's murder to the day, his own daughter was abducted by a sex criminal and forced to watch the violation of a friend.
Yeah.
Oh,
2 years later, Santa's wife wrote a play about a young girl who's found murdered in her basement. Naturally, they were prime suspects. The Ramseys had a Christmas open house. It was part of a tour sponsored by the Boulder Historical Society, where wealthy people open up their home to the public. Maybe 2,000 people went through the Ramsey place.
So anyone could have cased the place then.
And the Ramseys made at least 20 duplicate house keys. The kids, the help, God knows who else. 3 are still unaccounted for. Did your source tell you about the child photographer?
JonBenet, show me that beautiful smile. Come on.
His name is Randy Simons, out of Denver. Word is around the pageants, take your child to Simons. She'll score 2 ribbons higher.
Beautiful. Prettiest little angel in all of Colorado.
Some weird things happen around Simons after the murder. First, he gets on the phone to folks in the pageant world, all times of the day and night, talking about JonBenet.
It's like pieces of a puzzle.
It's like he's possessed. Then he does something really strange. Police found him wandering the streets, naked, babbling.
I didn't do it. I didn't kill her. I didn't kill JonBenet.
And there's other places to look. There's Jeff Merrick, a man with a grievance. Merrick worked for Ramsey. Good job, 6 figures. They were old friends going back to the 70s. Ramsey hired him in '93. But then a larger corporation bought up Ramsey's company. Although Ramsey stayed on as CEO, they let Merrick go. Merrick felt betrayed, but John thought it was just business. He claimed the company owed him close to $118,000, the amount later found in the ransom note.
Why the hell didn't you tell me about these things?
We cleared them. All 3 of them.
At the very least, you could have mentioned them.
Look, we ruled out a lot of people. The housekeeper, Ramsey's older kids. OJ didn't do it either.
So it's not just the Ramseys you're locked onto.
All right. We don't hold some big press conference to announce that someone didn't commit a crime, all right? Now, Mr. Santa Claus, he was an old man recovering from heart surgery. He could not have committed this crime. The other 2 had alibis, rock-solid alibis. We checked and double-checked, okay? This other guy you're talking to, he really believes that some intruder did it, huh?
He thinks maybe a pedophile. Someone's stalking her.
Case in point, a child molester in Georgia. Cops found him with a stash of photos of JonBenet. The creep described her as a pedophile's dream.
I don't get this. You're supposed to be working for the prosecution.
Haven't you heard a word I've said? Someone other than the Ramseys killed that child. Listen to me. If it wasn't a pedophile, it was someone with a huge hatred for the Ramseys. Someone brilliant. His plan was not just to kill the little girl. He wanted to pin it on the family, or at least the everlasting suspicion of it. And he's getting away with this because no one's looking for him.
So how did he pull it off?
He comes to the party, cases the house, grabs a loose key. Christmas Day, he comes back, watches the place, sees the Ramseys leave. He waits for dark, then he lets himself in. Ramsey forgot to turn on the alarm. Then he just lies in wait, not knowing when his moment will come. Finally, he hears the family come home. He waits until everyone is asleep. Then he creeps upstairs. And his is the last face JonBenet ever sees.
I wanna be your Colorado sweetheart. I wanna go on a Rocky Mountain ride. I'd like to be your cowgirl darling on a prairie side by side. I wanna see the Colorado.
My source told me that Patsy's handwriting matches the writing of the ransom note 23 out of 26 characters. That seems beyond reasonable doubt.
I don't know what your source was talking about. We speak in terms of characterizations, not characters. Things like style, punctuation, slant, letter formation, pressure.
So it's not a sure thing.
All I can tell you is that Mrs. Ramsey has not been eliminated as the writer of the note.
But everyone else has.
Yep, everybody else has.
I hear mixed opinions about the possibilities of ongoing sexual abuse of JonBenet, but her own pediatrician, he examined her 27 times, and he never saw any evidence of it.
JonBenet had a problem with bedwetting. What's your opinion regarding that and violence against children?
Well, that's not an area of my expertise, but I'm aware of several studies after infancy that the most common insider of violence against kids is enuresis. That's the medical term for bedwetting, so who knows?
Statistically, only one child murder in 12 is committed by a stranger. That's why I declined that request from the Ramsey legal team to profile and help identify the murderer of the child.
Can you be more specific?
This kidnapping was staged. I've never seen a child murder made to look like an abduction when it wasn't a family member who did it.
There was a lot of unusual behavior on the part of the Ramseys that day. It wasn't just one thing, it was a pattern. Think about it. Their child, this princess they adore, she's been snatched by someone threatening to behead her. But John and Patsy, they barely talk to each other, much less comfort one another.
His older daughter was killed in a car wreck a few years ago. Maybe he shut down emotionally.
Oh, come on. Your kid gets taken, you're gonna be all over those cops, wanting to know what you can do to help. 10 a.m. comes and goes. No one says anything. You know, it must have driven them nuts. Sitting around like that from 6 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, going over and over their story, afraid to look at each other, wondering if the other's gonna crack, all the time knowing JonBenet is lying dead 15 feet below them. And all the time wondering just when these cops are gonna find her. Then, when the time finally comes for his big show, Ramsey, who's probably been awake all night and isn't thinking too clearly, he goes practically straight to the kid's body, where he contaminates any evidence beyond repair. Then, upstairs, John and Patsy have this outpouring of grief, which conveniently destroys our crime scene. Look, 35 minutes after Ramsey discovers the body, one of our guys overhears him on the phone talking to his pilot, arranging to fly the family back to Atlanta.
But he wanted to protect them, to arrange for JonBenet's funeral. What's wrong with that?
After 35 minutes? I'm sorry, but some of us would have liked it if they'd have stuck around, you know, maybe cooperated in the investigation of their daughter's murder.
Your department threatened to hold her corpse hostage unless they consented to an interview. How would you feel?
No. We only did that because they didn't cooperate. So, here we are. We haven't accused them of anything. They lawyer up, hire the most connected firm in Colorado. 1 week later, there they are. On television, playing victim.
We are a deeply religious family, and this is not a possibility. If anyone knows anything, please, please help. For the safety of all of our children, we have to find out who did this.
And we cannot go on until there is some answer. Why?